And I could give me 1 second. All right, we are going on. Let me come on back. I'm so excited. Oh, yes. And I thought about doing that too. Yes. Yes. We are talking about boomerang today. So let's get on back over. Yes. And have that sitting right there. That was an iconic picture, iconic movie poster. And so many people collect movie posters. So that was a good one. And who doesn't like Eddie Murphy and Robin Givens and Halle Berry together? So I am just getting it set up for YouTube and say my little prayer. Dear Lord, please allow this Wi-Fi to continue, and please allow us to put a smile on someone's face today. Amen. So it's just loading, Leroy. It's loading, Leroy. Mm-hmm. And while it's loading to go to YouTube Live, everybody, just make sure you subscribe and make sure you like the video. My purpose of my page is to educate, elevate, and entertain. It's going a little slow today, but that's all right. Waiting for it to redirect back so I can catch up with my boy, Leroy. It's moving slow today.
Yeah, a lot of people online.
Yeah. And that's what happens when you are live. Normally the little bar goes a little faster, but it's almost to the end, y'all. It's almost to the end. I'm not sure what they can see. Can you even see me, Leroy? Because I'm on a different page.
No, I can see. Yeah, I see you fine.
Oh, okay. Because I can't see you. I'm just trying
really?
to. Yeah, I can't see you because I'm on the page trying to get it to YouTube to come back. Let me see. All right. Let's see. I'm going to test it out before we get started to make sure it is over there on YouTube right now. YouTube Live, if you're there, if you're with me, holler at us.
Holler if you're with me.
All right. Let's check. All right, we are live. That's what it looks like. And I am going to send you this. Do you see it live over there on YouTube?
Yes, Leroy? I do. Yep, in the corner.
Okay. So did you put it on your Facebook page?
Not yet.
Okay, so we can do that. That way we can get people engaged live.
Yeah, I got to go to your page to get first.
I'm putting it, yep. So it is there on my page. I just shared it.
Okay.
It's going up now. Hi, everybody. I couldn't see you before. So if you saw me, welcome to More Than a Movie, where we break down classic Black films. Like my daughter calls them Black cinema. Yes, we break them down in the only way that we know how, is by being fans of the movie, watching it over and over and over again. And we have our select favorites. We break it down in a way that we don't go in order of the movie. We'll talk about our favorites, and then, we'll tell you what we think about the movie. All right, Leroy Mckenzie Jr. is my co-host. Hey, Leroy.
What's going on, ma'am? How you feel?
I'm good. I'm excited. I'm always excited about Wednesdays. Move your head so you can show the people what's in the background. Yes. Marcus Darling. Yes. Absolutely.
I love that flyer. I thought that was a slamming flyer. The colors and everything were just phenomenal.
It's a little sexy. Sexy. You got Halle Berry on one side. You got my girl Robin Givens on the other side. Contrary to what people say, I like Robin Givens. She had one of the best autobiographies I've ever read in my life years ago. But really? I like her. And she got a bad rap, so I'm Team Robin. I like Halle too, though. So.
Okay. You say she got a bad rap, but is it true?
No. She said she never got a dime from Mike Tyson. She never got any Alamo, like all the stuff they're saying. She's like, that's not even true. I didn't get anything. I didn't ask for anything. I just wanted my sanity. Then later we find out, fast forward years, he's biting off Evander Holyfield's ear. So the stuff that she was saying, she just was saying he was manic depressive. He's admitted to him being depressed and, you know, all of that. So I won't say she was vindicated, but as it played out, people saw things differently. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about We're talking about Jacqueline. That was
jumped off of that real quick.
Character's name. So everybody,
we are.
Yes, exactly. So this is episode 3 of More Than Just a Movie. We talked about Love Jones and we talked about love and basketball. So do yourself a favor right here on this channel and watch those and let us know what you think. And if you want us to talk about your favorite Black movie, then tell us below what you want to hear. Now, this is a show full of spoiler alerts because Leroy and I feel that after 30 years or 25 years or 20 years, you should have already seen the movie. So I just want to shout out my daughter's friend, Marnice. This is one of her favorite movies, and she wasn't even born when this movie came out. And she said, and I'll attach this video if I can to this, or it'll be on my YouTube channel. It's on my Instagram and my Facebook right now. But she said that this was her dad's favorite movie, and her dad asked her to watch it, and she was like, this is gonna be corny. But she ended up loving the movie, and she posted a video about it because she is in college in class right now and couldn't join us live. But we might have a secret guest coming on later in the show to say why they love Boomerang. So I'm gonna let y'all know right now, it's not Eddie Murphy, it's not Halle Berry,
that's what I was asking.
It's not Robin Givens. That would be the bomb surprise at the end. And maybe one day as we continue these, maybe we can get someone from the movie to drop by. That just dropped in my spirit right there, Leroy. Wouldn't that be cool?
That'd be cool. Be like, what's up, Halle? How you doing?
And she seems so cool that she might even do it. All right, so today we are talking about Boomerang. The movie came out in 1992. And I want to make sure I get these statistics right. In the box office, it made $131 million in 1992. The budget was only $42 million. So cha-ching, they made some money. A budget of $42 million, and they made $131 million. This movie starred Eddie Murphy as Marcus. We can go on down. Robin Givens, Jacqueline, Halle Berry, Angela. It had Grace Jones, Strong J, which we'll talk about. David Allen Greer, Martin Lawrence, Tisha Campbell, Leela Rashawn, Chris Rock, Eartha Kitt, the legend Eartha Kitt. So this was a star-packed movie. And as always, I talk about when I saw it. I lived in Las Vegas with my ex-husband, and he was in the military. And my cousin lived down there too. So we saw Boomerang together on the Air Force Base's movie theater. So shout out to my cousin, Maria Jones. We saw Boomerang right there. I remember the day in the movies, and I remember us laughing from scene to scene where we couldn't even hear the next scene because we were still laughing from the previous scene, especially that part where, and we'll talk about this in the show, but especially the part where Halle Berry started talking Japanese or something. Remember when they were saying "Hasta la vista," her and David Allen Greer, and when she said that in her face, we lost our mind. The movie theater was cracking up, and we didn't even hear the next scene. We were laughing so hard. So those are my memories from Boomerang. So Leroy, when did you see it, and do you remember seeing it in the theater? And what were your first thoughts?
You keep asking me that, and every time I'm like, I can't even remember last week, yet alone 1992.
That's all right.
but I do know I went to the movies to see it, you know.
Okay.
Because it was one of those, just like the other two movies that we've done. It was one of those, you got to go to the movies to support that and see that, you know what I mean? So, and to me, it's one of Eddie Murphy's best movies. Out of all the movies that he's done, to me, it was one of his best movies because it was outside of all of the other type of characters
Mm-hmm.
that he did. So this one, and I think coming to the two that I think of is Coming to America and this one, because it wasn't those normal, the Nutty Professor where he was
Mm-hmm.
playing these multiple roles and everything like that. This showed him like that 48 hours where he could actually really
Mm.
act. You know what I mean? It showed him, not that the other ones didn't show him being able to act, but these showed him as that, the entrepreneur, they don't say entrepreneur, but as a business person, kind of like that black professional type of thing, which is what I like,
Yeah.
about it. So that, that's what I think about when I think about the movie. Like I said, I can't remember when I went to,
Yeah.
I just know I went to the movie to see it though, you know.
It's funny that you said that. Let me tell you a little secret, because you're already Baltimore born and bred, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I lived, as I told everyone, I moved to Las Vegas in 91 and moved to Maryland in 94. So I was there for about 3.5 years living in Vegas.
Okay.
So I went from South Jersey, where I could have been sometimes one of the only Black people at work, at school, or what have you. Then I went to Vegas, everybody is in Vegas, and I moved here. So when I first started working here, I'm a date myself, because since we talking about Boomerang going to the movies, it's already dated. So let me tell you. So I worked for MCI phone.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Back in the day, MCI, where you get people to try to switch and do all of that stuff. So I worked for MCI. But let me tell you something. That was in Hunt Valley, Maryland, which for people who are not in the Baltimore area, that's it's the county of Baltimore City. It's one of the counties surrounding, right? So I go into this big old office building on Shawan, I think it's Shawan Road. And I went into that office and I said, oh my God, it's like Boomerang in here. Not believe how many Black people, and they were all professional and they all looked like me. And I remember saying, I feel like I'm in the movie Boomerang, because remember in the movie Boomerang, all these Black folks walking around, you got Marcus, you got everybody in the boardroom looks like you. And it was something in with Boomerang showing that, I was able to refer that back and say, wow. So I don't even know if Eddie Murphy realized the impact he was having with a whole Black company. Now you see Black companies everywhere, but
Well,
back then it wasn't like that, at least not to me.
well, doing the research for what we were going to be doing today, going through YouTube, he got backlash for having an all Black cast.
Ain't that
So,
something?
yeah, he knew I believe he knew what he was doing, and he even caught flack for doing what he did. And
Mm-hmm.
I believe he realized the importance of what he was doing by having an all Black cast. And if I'm not mistaken, the Hudlin brothers directed and produced it.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Which
talking
is huge.
from top, well, maybe not top, but at least from the director and all of them, maybe not the studio, all the way down to to the cast and probably the production staff and everybody on set. Not saying that there weren't other other ethnic groups that were there, but the majority of the people on that set look like us. you
Absolutely.
know, look like
Absolutely.
us. So
And
yeah.
that was so refreshing. And now you see that all the time, especially with people creating their own ways in this world, and creating their own businesses, and Black folks, Black women, Black men, Black children, creating legacy for their families. And Boomerang was so refreshing. And it was refreshing not because it was an all Black cast, all Black business, but because it was quality. That movie was a quality movie. It wasn't sometimes you see these movies, they all dark, not lit right, makeup ain't right, the hair ain't right, the clothes ain't right. This was popping. It was all the way live. It was something to be like, yes. And for some people, if they were children then, they probably grew up seeing that this is possible. But if you had been like me in the workforce, maybe before, as a younger person, you being the only Black person in a lot of different cases, you know, this was something huge. So before we talk about the scenes, we're going to talk about the soundtrack because I know you want to talk about that. But I want to talk about how pop culture took over Boomerang, or how Boomerang took over pop culture. There are a lot of things that derive from this movie that we say today. We know where it came from, but some of the younger people don't even know where it came from. When people are like, Strange, yes, Strange, that came from Boomerang. When people say, oh, you treating me like my name is Stanley, that comes from Boomerang. When you say, these are the Mac Daddy vibes I'm giving you, that comes from Boomerang. When Martin said it's racial, that comes from Boomerang. I was just right off the top of my head, I was writing them down and I didn't even have to research them. Where somebody says, love should have brought you home last night.
Listen to that song, absolutely.
And one of my favorites, Black folks say this to this day, you got to coordinate.
Yes.
That comes from Boomerang. So when you think about some of those sayings and those pop culture sayings that we say as Black folks, because I still say some of them, especially like, oh yeah, you treat me like my name is Stanley, or something like that, meaning like you treat me like I ain't nobody. Now, you all sweating me because you know my name. So let me ask you this, do you say any of those sayings? And what do you think about them landing as well as they do, and they're timeless now with people still saying them? What do you think about that?
No, I don't necessarily say them, but unless we're in a dialogue like this where we'll be talking about.
You don't say Strange?
No, I do not say Strange. But I often think about Grace Jones. Just her demeanor, and she was perfect. She was absolutely perfect for that. That was just made for her because
perfect.
Yeah, that was just, she seems like that kind of person. Not saying in a negative way or whatever, but that presence that she has and what she brought to that character, the way she acted in the restaurant and everything. But when I think about the different sayings, the one I was waiting for you to say, but you didn't get to it. I'm sure. That has to do with John Witherspoon. Bang, bang, bang.
Right, exactly. That's another one. That's something that people still refer to this day. Right. Bang, bang, bang. Exactly. Yeah. And I'm glad that you added that one. Exactly. Because I was going from the top of my head, like, what do I, because I try to just think about, and I didn't even have to research it. Right. And that's when a movie made an impact. And, I don't even know how many times I've seen it. I've seen it, like I said, at the movie theater. I've seen it on VHS. I've seen it on DVD. I've seen it on, I have the DVD. My kids have seen it, and it's just going through the generations, because that's when you can tell something is quality. So let's talk about, before we get into some of the scenes, I know you always want to talk about the soundtrack.
That's one of the best movie soundtracks that I can think of. When I think of movie soundtracks and where I could just go from just put it in and press play, Boomerang is one, and then New Jack City is probably the other one for me.
Yeah, and Waiting to Exhale is good too.
Yeah,
that Waiting to Exhale.
Absolutely. Those definitely, those. And maybe we should do something about that too. Movie soundtracks.
Yeah,
because those are.
Because we talked about Love. Because we talked about Love Jones soundtrack. We talked about Love and Basketball soundtrack.
Right.
And now Boomerang.
Yeah. I mean, and they had all of the big names, I think, on the Boomerang soundtrack. Johnny Gill was on there. Tony Braxton.
There you go.
The breakout. I think that was her breakout song. I think that was the first song off her album. Love Should Have Brought You Home.
Give You My Heart. Yep. Give You My Heart from Tony Braxton. Her duet with Babyface. Yes. That was Tony Braxton's introduction to us, to the music business. Give You My Heart, and then Then, of course, the classic Love Should Have Brought You Home Last Night was her first solo song that was a hit. So imagine being Toni Braxton from Maryland, shout out Severn, Maryland, and your first introduction to the music industry is on the Boomerang soundtrack, where you not only have your own solo hit, but you have a hit with the legendary Babyface, the writer, the producer, the former member of The Deal. You have you have a hit. Absolutely, Leroy.
Yeah, that's got to be huge. I mean, you coming out the gate, one, to be signed to LaFace Records, which I'm assuming she was signed to at that time, but to be on and I'm quite sure Boomerang was the #1 movie out or somewhere thereabouts. A very successful movie, like you said. But then you have a successful soundtrack on top of that you are part of. So you get an automatic credibility coming into the industry with that. You know what I mean? That's huge. That's how you want to step in. That's how you step in right there.
That's how you kick through, like boom. You know, guess who stepped in the room?
You know what I'm saying? For real. That's absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then we had PM Dawn, Die Without You. You know, you mentioned Johnny Gill. We had Hot Sex on a Platter with Tribe Called Quest. There was so many great hits on that soundtrack. So why do you think that Black folks, when we come with a movie, we think that the music, the soundtrack is just as important as the words on the screen? Why do you think that we really give you us? Because Black folks in a Black movie, we will give you a soundtrack. So why do you think?
I think they kind of go together. That's like pancakes and syrup, and like waffles and syrup. It's just French toast and syrup. You can't have French toast without syrup. So with us, we gonna bring the flavor. We know we want to have and I think also, I all jokes aside, but I think also too, when it comes to a movie, you get caught up by the movie, but as you go along in the movie, the music. If the music catches you, then I think you're more in tune to the movie. Because I know, like I said, New Jack City was the same way. The music caught you. The music of that movie caught you. Teddy Riley, and especially of that time. Boomerang, probably that, because that's the early 90s. So you're talking Teddy Riley for New Jack City. Boomerang was Face. I don't know if I think he did he produced that whole soundtrack, if I'm not mistaken. So the music at that time was just, was slamming. So you bring somebody like a LA Face to do the soundtrack, you're going to get, like you said, quality. You're going to get quality music to go along with a quality movie. That's a recipe for success.
And before we go further into our scenes, I'm thinking about Chris Rock's scene right now. He was there. He said, "I've been here 9 days." He wanted a promotion. But I remember when when Eddie Murphy came back from New Orleans, Marcus, and how Robin Givens, he thought, played him. I remember him saying, "First the Fat Boys broke up, now this." So I just want to give up my condolences and RIP to Prince Marky D of the Fat Boys. I did a video about him. The Fat Boys were everything to me in juniors high and high school. The movie Disorderlies. Speaking of movies, I saw that movie in the movie theater with every friend I had. I must have saw that movie like 10 times in there because it was hip hoppers, and that was our generation in the 80s. I believe that was like 87, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it had to be around in the late 80s, right? Late 80s.
Yeah, or so. And I was in high school. And I remember Fat Boys came out when I was in junior high. And I just remember going to celebrate that, and them in Crush Groove and all of that. So talking about music and talking about movies. So I just want to give my condolences to Prince Marky D. People don't realize, I supported this brother. Even he wrote Real Love. He worked for Mariah Carey. He wrote for Mary J. Blige. So many different writing credits and producing credits. And also he had a solo album with Prince Markie D and the Soul Convention.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, that is still one of probably my top 10 CDs ever.
Really? Okay.
Ever.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't know about that. So I just wanted to, give him, and his family my condolences and really celebrate him for a moment since they brought up the Fat Boys in Boomerang.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So what were one of your favorite scenes in Boomerang? I know it's probably a lot.
No, if the funniest one to me, and I think even Eddie Murphy couldn't stop laughing, was when he was sleeping with Layla Rashawn's character. No, Robin Givens' character. When he was sleeping with Robin Givens' character. All right.
Jacqueline.
And it's Angela Marcus and what was Halle Berry's character?
Jacqueline.
Jack. Oh, that's what I'm missing. Okay. But when they're sleeping together, and he's like, into it, and then he's laughing as you see his feet. And you see his feet and toes curling. I was like, even he was laughing in that. I was like, Eddie Murphy is a straight pure fool. I was like, he is a straight fool. So that's
he
one.
He is a fool.
That I was like, that's probably one of the ones that I just thought was funny. And I even thought that Tisha Campbell's character was funny too. When she was trying to get back with him, and he was like, not even if Jesus was pouring him.
But you know what she said? What she said in an interview, she said her ex-husband Dwayne Martin gave her those lines to say. Really? He gave her some of those lines because he's funny. So she said he helped her when she was speaking to him when they were on good terms. She said that he helped her with that, but it was like Tisha Campbell was, what you about? My size, my height, my weight, doggy style. That was funny. She said Dwayne Martin gave her that line. She said, her husband did. And it's so funny as you were talking about Jacqueline and Marcus in the bed. I look at stuff like this. So everybody, I'm about to spoil it for y'all. When y'all go back and watch Boomerang, Robin Givens had white nail polish on. And then when she turned around and woke up, it was red. And so they must have gone to, redo some scenes and they forgot about her nail polish. So if you look at the scene when they're in the bed, Robin Givens' nails are red, then they're white, and I believe then they're back to red. And that was something that's always stuck with me because I was like, wait a minute. So I always look at stuff like that in movies, and that happens.
As many times as I've seen that movie, I've never paid attention to that. I've never noticed.
Watch you see it so clearly now. Watch you'll see
definitely.
Because see, the thing with movies, if they have so much recorded and they catch stuff like that, it's not worth the money to refilm that whole scene.
Absolutely.
So they're like, whatever, nobody's gonna see it.
Ain't nobody gonna notice that. And if they do, so what? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. It doesn't take away from the movie
at all. Not at all.
So let's talk about a classic scene when we talk about Marcus. So the whole theme of the movie, for those that don't know, Marcus was a player that got played, that fell in love, got played, and then realized love was everything. And love should keep you home at night when he fell in love with Angela for real. So it's that woman that has everything, like Halle Berry said, just because I don't have weave going on down my back or whatever, but it's a certain standard of beauty that was there. And I love the fact that Robin Givens, a brown-skinned woman, was that standard of beauty. So I like the fact that he did that. And then also he dated her in real life, not at that time, but previous to that. But I love the fact that and I love the fact that he had a brown-skinned woman who played him and who was the desirable one, if you will, because you know how it is already with Black people and then brown skin and all of that. So I like that fact. But let's talk about a classic scene with Layla Rashawn, and I know her feet didn't look like that, but him having
I pray not.
No, it was the nail polish. I was like, that's fake. But just
I
thinking
wouldn't
about,
like that.
right, thinking about that. And first of all, I'll ask you, what do you think about that scene when he was always looking at the woman's feet? Because I used to hear men talk about that. So what did you think about all that?
I think that that's real. You have some men, I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, if I look down and your toes, like you said, you got hammer time going on down in your toes, that's, yeah. I'm the same. I mean, I'm gonna be honest.
But look what
I'd have
you
been
just
like
said.
Eddie Murphy.
But look what you just said. Another thing that we always say, hammer time.
Right. Exactly. Yep. We sure do. We sure do. But I mean, but I thought that scene was actually real. I thought that was real, and because you have, I think we all have our idiosyncrasies, those little things that we may see, or we may nitpick about somebody. Well, they don't this and they don't that, or whatever. I think, I'm sorry. I think having hammer time on your toes is a big deal. I'm sorry. That's not a little thing. I can't be dealing with, because I can't kiss your toes. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not kissing your toes and they look like that. I'm sorry. I can't do it.
It's kissing toes if they look right.
Hey, fellas, if they in the chat, I'm telling you, fellas, if it's nothing that has pretty toes, trust and believe. It is a total. You like, yeah, like Eddie Murphy was. He was like, yes. when he saw Robin Givens' toes, he was like, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, you kind of faded out, so I don't know if it's your microphone or not.
I said, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. When he patted her back, when he found out she had good toes, he kind of squeezed her.
Yep, absolutely. He's like, jackpot. She got some pretty toes. First thing I thought about that scene was, that's real. That is truly real. Now I think he took it to an extreme as far as like it being, I think the toes and she's got a this, that, and the other, because the conversation that him, Martin Lawrence, and David Allen Greer have when they're working out and stuff like that, and they're talking about the different women that he's been with. He's like, Marcus, you just, you find a woman, you all into her until you sleep with her, and then you're done with her. But and that's the way that his character was. But he was picky about the women that he was with from that conversation. Yeah. You could tell.
Yeah.
And, he was picky about the women. They had to look a certain way, like you talked about. Yeah. They had to have a certain look about them. They had to, have certain things about them. And I think we do that as men and women. And I want to get the women's perspective on that too. But because
I keep my toes. I keep my toes right.
No, I'm not talking about your toes. I'm talking about the man's toes. If you look down. Yeah. Now,
it's funny. Okay. So you want to go there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go there.
So when you have a man's feet that look good and they take care of their feet, it's like almost like it's amazing for us. We love it, but it's almost like, for real, your feet are this soft, they look this good. Because if you have a man who look like he been running, with Jane Pittman and
Harriet Tubman.
He been in the underground with those feet. It's like, but then you can't help compare it, because some men that got jacked up feet, they'd be like, every man's feet are like this. And then you don't want to compare your man to the last man, but you be like, nah, bro, everybody's feet ain't like that. Some men wear sandals with confidence, but the ones with the jacked up feet always be like, sandals ain't for men.
Let me tell you, and fellas, if you're in the Baltimore area, I hope it's still open. I don't know if it's still open, but it's a spot called Hammer and Nails.
Yes,
it's a salon.
Black man. Michael owns that. Yep.
Yeah, you can go there, get your. I mean, it is totally awesome, totally spot that is catered to men.
Yeah.
Ladies, I promise you, if you get your man a gift certificate to Hammer and Nails, he will love you for it. Trust.
But they're not magicians. They ain't magicians.
They pulling out the chainsaws, trying to sand down your feet.
Like BB Drake. BB Drake was in the movie and she played Myra on Martin, where they had a drill. The chainsaw. But listen, no matter whatever if you go get the pedicure, fellas, they are not plastic surgeons. If you got bunions, corns, 1 foot, they could do the best they can. So don't come out thinking that it's going to be, but it's going to be better though. It's going to be better. You're going to have soft skin. You know, they're going to shellac all that.
Absolutely.
So your feet looking good, Leroy? Is that what you're saying? You got good feet?
Yes, I do have good feet. Yes, I take care of my feet. I don't like rough skin. So I like my feet to be soft, and that's why I make sure that they're always, moisturized and everything like that. I ain't wearing no sandals though. I don't wear sandals. Though.
You don't wear no sandals? You ain't got no flip-flops on the beach?
No,
so
I've never really wore sandals. I think it's good for you so that your feet can air out and everything like that. You know what I mean? So that you can.
So what if you're on the beach?
Well, then I probably would, but I haven't honestly. I've never been one to go to the beach a whole lot or anything like that. So it's not often that I've had to wear sandals or even those, what do they call them, where you slide,
flip-flops.
No, not the flip-flops, the slides.
Oh, slides.
The slides that you, now I might wear something like that. I ain't wearing them outside too much because you look ghetto walking around with slides on. I can't stand that. I can't stand it. And then slides with socks on. I'm like, come on, bro.
That's uncle status. That's uncle status. What are you talking about? That's uncle.
Right. You know what I mean? So, but stuff like that. But ladies, fellas, take care of your feet. Take care of your feet. I mean, because that is. I'm be honest with you. I think it's important. That's part of to me. That's part of hygiene. That is absolutely hygiene. And I understood Eddie Murphy's
You had character. Me crying.
Yeah, seeing the bunions on Layla Rashawn's feet. He was like, how can a woman that fine have a time in her toes? She was like, no, that ain't supposed to be like that. That don't go together.
Right. Now, this is a KSA, a Kendell service announcement for you ladies. I have heard and I have seen women say, well, I don't polish my toenails or keep my feet up during the winter because nobody's going to see them. I make sure they're fine in the summer. Wrong. No. 12 months a year, you should make sure your feet are soft. I have these things that I put on. They're like socks and they have all the oils in there. I tie them in plastic. I make sure my feet are soft, moisturized. My toenails are always done. I do them, myself 12 months a year. So ladies, don't just do it for yourself, not just because people are going to see you in sandals. Right. Do it for yourself because you don't want to be that woman where Leroy and his buddy or Marcus and his buddy are going to be talking about your feet.
You become the topic of conversation. I'm like, bro, you are not going to believe this. Yes, ladies, we will talk about you. Just like y'all talk about us. I ain't even going to lie about that. We will talk about you.
See, y'all better get it together, ladies. Get it together. Crying real tears. When you start talking about them feet, I was crying real tears. Oh my God.
Yeah.
People still refer to that movie. Like you say, hammer time. I forgot about the hammer time. People still say that. People still look at a woman's feet. Leroy said fellas still talk about that. Like if you find with jacked up feet, that ain't cool. So just like, like Leroy said, man, you can go get your feet done. Let me tell you, I have a foot spa. I soak my feet. I do my feet. Nah, it ain't going down here. Y'all ain't pulling the sheet back on me.
Absolutely.
Oh, you know what's funny, Leroy?
What's that?
So I was, I believe, like 21 when that movie came out, right?
Huh? Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I was 21 when that movie came out. And that was the first time, and now mind y'all, I was 21. So cooking and stuff like that. Marcus was the first one to introduce me to rosemary. Remember he made the chicken? He was like, I put a little rosemary in it. I was like, ooh, what's
Absolutely, yeah, no. There's so many, like you said, there's a lot of stuff that even date, just dating tips. I just thought, a lot of way that men and women look at each other. I thought that came from this movie too. The first time that the
Mm-hmm.
script was flipped because of, Mark, like you said at the beginning, Marcus being the player, and then he finds that one woman that actually plays him, you know, and,
Yeah.
and everything. So that
Yeah.
you learn about the relationships because everything was just the total opposite. He he looking for he's looking for her. She doesn't call him on, I guess to let him know that she was late and everything like that. And by the way, don't do that, ladies. Call a brother. Call a brother. Let him know you're gonna
That
be.
was messed up.
Yeah,
That was messed up.
totally
And then
jacked
she
up.
left the money on a nightstand.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say too. And I love the way that he held the blanket like so. But that gave him
Like he felt so violated.
like exactly. It gave him a dose of his own medicine. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he had done that before. You know, so it was really good. And like you
Mm-hmm.
said, it has so many
He was
funny
like, I
parts
was
in it.
worried about you. Yeah,
Right,
it did. It really
right,
did. He was like, I was worried about you. I was waiting for you. I was worried about you. And I love how they flipped the script because normally that would have been the woman like, why didn't you show
right,
up? What happened?
right.
I was calling you because I was concerned. I was worried about you. Instead, it was him. So she came over and she said, let me leave this little $200 on your nightstand for the ticket. Boom. And he woke up and she was gone. And a lot of women
Well,
say that happened to them.
yeah, yeah. But even before she left the money on the nightstand, when she first got there, when she had the coat on and all she had on was her bra and panties, and he was like, "See," he was like, "Yeah, you knew you was wrong, and that's why you came over in your underwear. You came over in your underwear."
Right. And I love the fact that too, that they had the bros over here. So you got Martin, you got David Allen Greer, and you got Eddie Murphy. And I like that element that he had with his boys, over there. And then they're talking about women and saying Marcus always gets the good ones and just
Right.
having those type of bromance, ship, if you will. And
Mhm.
then you had um the women who, you had theirs part, and then you had the women. And I love the fact that even though it was the same guy, they still weren't disrespecting each other. They still weren't, doing that with each other. But when Robin Givens, he was into Robin Givens, and he was like, oh yeah, you know me, you're a fan of my work, and you would treat me like my name was Stanley. And how she was trying to just figure it out. And that thing with women, power is sexy with women, intelligence is sexy, success is sexy to women. So she was attracted to that. And then when he became vulnerable and when he was like sweating her, then that she became disinterested
Right.
until he was with Angela and she brought
Mhm.
that spark out in him. And she was like, wait a minute, like the old Marcus is back. And oftentimes that happens with women. So what did you think? So which one did you like him with? I know what you're going to say. Which woman did you like Marcus with and why?
Well, actually, I just thought that he should have. It wouldn't have been a movie then, but he should have been with Angela from the beginning because she Halle Berry's character, she was genuine, she was nice, sweet. But as we all know, when it comes to men and women, the main thing is the man is going to choose the woman that they deem to be the hardest to get or whatever and stuff like that, or that seems to be give you the most trouble and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, as opposed to somebody who is not filled with drama, who is who's on the, I won't say up and up, but who is just very nice, very sweet. Because Eddie Murphy tries to hook Angela up with David Allen Greer's character
Tyler.
because they were two nice people, and there was two nice people that they tried to get together, and didn't hit it off for whatever reason. And so I thought he should have been with Angela from the beginning. And I
Yeah.
think, and I don't know, do you think that there was an attraction with them from the beginning, or did you think that that kind of grew once she saw how Jacqueline treated him?
It grew because, like you said, you're right. Some women play the background, and some women are not the the spotlight for that man. They see the one, that's dressed a certain way, that has her hair, like she said, all weave down her back, and not even just a weave, but has themselves put together, because she was like eclectic and bohemian, and back then it was a different thing. Now like men love that bohemian, that natural vibe. But back then, you got to think about it. It was like they were in a corporation. She was a boss, so to speak. Yeah. And men were attracted, just like we talked about with women, with power and success. And he saw her in the elevator. And then when it transitioned, it was almost like she was the challenge. She was the chase. Right. So I don't think he noticed Angela at first, because he was so focused on that other chase. And then the more he got to be around her and see, like you said, how genuine and sweet she was and caring. And after Jacqueline broke his heart, then I think that was just a natural transition. But I don't think that it was like a choice or a toss up like in the beginning. Or should I go with this one or that one? I think it was just like an organic transition. And I thought it was messed up. And this happens a lot. I thought it was messed up of Marcus to, be with Angela, and they were developing something real and something organic. And then he was with, Jacqueline, and she spun her spell, and he went back. And then love should have brought you home last night.
but isn't that real though? And even if you were to take it from a woman's perspective, where she tries to move on, she got that one dude that, as my pastor said, got the keys, got the keys, and he start jingling them keys, and you like, it gives you start to think, and you just like, it's like, man, that was that person that that I was interested in, but wasn't necessarily interested in me, and that's happened. Right. I mean, it's a, like I said, it's a sad thing, and I think one thing that you made, a point that you made that I thought was really good, was about Marcus in the chase, and how he saw Jacqueline as as somebody that he wanted to be able to chase after. Because at first he thought she was a model. He thought she was there to model, model for the campaign and everything.
He liked her look. He liked her look.
Right. And so he was like, oh, like you said, when he found out that she was taking his job, it was like, oh, okay, so what I got to do, she's attractive. She's in this position of power, like you said. And it's like, oh, okay, I think we could make a power couple, so to speak, or whatever, and everything like that. But, and I think that's it, that he got caught up, as a lot of us have done. And then when we do move on, and that other person comes back, because even in Love Jones, what happened when Nia Long's came back? Like I said,
because they go out there and see, and then they come back home. Like Martin said, you can always come home.
Yep. So that, I definitely saw that and thought that it was that dynamic was interesting. But something I wanted to bring up to you, and I don't know if you intended on bringing it up or not, but what this had another dynamic too, which was having office relationships. Relationship with someone in the office, and how that can be. Because remember the scene when Marcus after she had dumped him, and he's walking through the office, and the women are looking at him, and they laughing at him. Right, what I'm saying?
Right. It's so funny. First I want to just, before I answer that, shout out to Jeffrey Holden. He is the bald guy. He used to be the Sprite guy back in the day, and he was an actor from way back when. He was on there, and then also Melvin Van Peebles, Mario Van Peebles' daddy. He was like, it's a breast because I'm drooling.
For real.
Was a T-I-T-I. I hate that word. I say breast because I feel so when I say it's so funny because they didn't see when Grace Jones, and then he was like, I think it's trying to decide they can do drooling. That was so funny, but shout out to them. Now with office relationships, I've had one before in different departments. So I had one before, but it wasn't like we didn't work together, but we worked for the same place.
Yeah.
But I think you dating someone and you kiss it out, like you shouldn't be kissing and telling. But I guess because the love making was all that good, you know, and Eddie Murphy tried to write that in for himself. But he ain't slick like everybody talking about me. But I think that that was, I don't think that you should do that, but I'm sure it's done. And I'm sure that scene could have been a real scene, because if it's good to you, then some people know the rule is 2 rules. If it's good to you, don't tell nobody, because they might try to take your man. Or if it's good to you.
Is that one of the sister girl rules? Is that the sister code?
Yeah. It's a code. It's a code. Or if you really don't, or if it's really just a fling, as I guess it was to her, he was a boy toy. So he thought it was a serious relationship. And he even said they had that conversation, remember, on the couch, where he was really trying to kiss her and stuff. And he really wanted to go someplace. And she basically told him that, you know, he was a boy toy. So I think that's why she was able to tell everybody, because if it was her man, she wouldn't have told nobody.
And I think so too. I just tell anybody that if you get into office relationships, and like you, I've had one as well, 1 or 2, and as well, and you got to be real careful. You better know that you know that you know that you know that you know that that person is not somebody to go run and tell. You know, that wants to go to. That wants to tell everybody, because it can get a real mess and be a real mess real quick if you get with the wrong person at work, So you got to be really careful, and you better make sure that you're not in a supervisory or management position and seeing someone that's a line level employee.
A subordinate.
Yeah, a subordinate, because if that can get even more trickier when it comes to those relationships on both ends. So you better be careful. But I thought that was an interesting dynamic in the movie too. That those office relationships and how people, that made me think. Like I said, when he does the what do you call it, not the death walk, but the walk of shame.
Walk of shame.
Yeah, the walk of shame. The walk of shame. He does the walk of shame, and it's like dang, So you gotta be definitely gotta be careful with that.
Yes. So let's talk about the scene that people talk about to this day all the time, and they laugh. Marcus, darling, let's talk about that scene. Let's talk about when her butler, or her, whatever he is to her chalet, opens the door and he's giggling at Marcus, because he knows what's happening.
He's like, he knows what's coming.
He's like, but so when he comes in, but one of my favorite scenes, everybody likes Marcus, darling, but when he be like, can it get just a little bit darker?
That's what I'm just getting ready to say. I was getting ready to say that. It's like,
And
can
it's
you
like,
make it just a little bit darker? He ain't want to see nothing. He didn't want to see. He didn't want to see a smile. Not at all.
oh
Not
my
at all.
God.
Yeah, yeah. That's
You
gotta
know, it's a
be.
funny movie.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
that
pretty good.
scene, and then I don't
Oh,
know when it. Well, I don't know if it was the next day or whenever when they're in the hallway at the office, and she's like, Marcus, I'm not wearing any.
and he's like, look, and he go like this. He's like, whoa. He had an aftermath.
Oh, I was like, yeah, he's done. Like, yeah.
Oh my God. Like this show right now has me, I like cried real tears and laughed real laughs. And this is 30 years later.
Yeah,
And we
absolutely,
still are laughing.
absolutely,
Oh my goodness. What,
it is.
29 years later,
Yeah,
and we are still
yeah, it's definitely a
laughing.
classic, and you could watch it, like you said, you could watch it anytime that it comes on and still laugh at the scenes that cover on and everything like
Mhm,
that, because it's just it's just
mhm.
it's just funny. It is
It,
hilarious. It is
it's
hilarious.
hilarious. So let's talk about the scene. We talked about it a little bit, you know, we talked about bang, 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 and I said coordinate. And the talented BB Drake, I remember her on Good Times back in the day. That ain't hardly me with them hard lines when JJ was trying to paint her. And then you have John Witherspoon, rest in peace,
Yeah,
Pops. When you have them two as a couple, you already knew. Because see, the thing is, Angela thought his parents were going to be stuffy like him, like Tyler, David Allen Greer. They thought, and then when they came in and she had the earrings and she was coming in with her, let me tell you something. You already knew when you seen those two people as his parents, you already knew it was about to be some gut-wrenching laughing. You already knew. And when she looked at them like, and he was like, these are your parents? And he was like, yes. And Eddie Murphy kept trying to egg it on. He was like, yes. Like he was so embarrassed. But when they went into that bathroom,
it is right there. There it is. It came out.
and look, I'll let you take it from there. When they came out, what had happened?
I'm trying to, when they come out the bathroom, she's his mother, Jerome's mother is straightening up her hair. She's straightening up her clothes, trying to put her clothes on. She comes out first, and then John Witherspoon come out trying to tuck his shirt in, put his shirt in, and everything like that. Oh my! I was like, oh no! And David Allen Grier's character just get this look like, oh my
Tyler.
God, like. They did not just do it in the bathroom.
And then Eddie Murphy as a friend, Marcus, he gonna really egg it on.
Absolutely.
And she's like,
Absolutely.
they look like one of your girls. She look like one of your girls, Marcus.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what I mean?
And then she had the earrings to match the fur from the thing. And then he had the mushroom belt and the mushroom shirt
coordinate.
and the mushroom on the inside of the jacket. Coordinate.
He got the coordinate.
Let me tell you something. When they did that and they were sitting there and Angela was looking and everybody was at the table, like that was some real laughter right there. That was real.
Yeah. I don't know how they got through that. I would have loved. I know they didn't get that in one take. I know they had to do a couple of takes for that scene, just that scene alone, trying to get that right. Because I'd have been busting out laughing. I'd have been
Me
no
too.
more good. I'd have been no more
Think
good.
about if we're laughing now, 29 years later. Imagine what that set was like.
I know, right?
And everybody was in their prime. So imagine that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Let me tell you, so then when they leave, and that part that I was talking about at the top of the show when I went to the movies with my cousin and Angela, Angela and Tyler, Hallie and David. Mm-hmm. And she was trying to walk him to the door. She wasn't attracted. She wasn't feeling him. It was like the friendship vibe. And they were trying to say bye, and she was saying bye, and she started saying different ways to say bye. And when she said, no, and whatever she said, let me tell you something. We were in that movie because Black folks can't laugh still. We got to be like, ah, we were in the movie laughing doing the Matrix. It's so funny that we couldn't even get through the next scene. We didn't even hear what they were saying at first because we were laughing so hard. You remember that part?
Absolutely. But the funny thing was, to me, that made it funny was it came out of nowhere. You were not expecting it. You're like, did she just speak Chinese or something? I was like, what the? To me, that's what made it so funny. It just came out of nowhere. So I don't know if that was scripted or not, but however that came out, that was absolutely perfect. I was just like, yeah, that was hilarious.
Let me tell you, that was brilliant. Yeah. And if Halle Berry decided that on her own, I know that they were stretched out on the floor laughing at that. Cameramen, lighting, grips, Eddie and all of I know that they were on the floor stretched out laughing because that right there was hilarious. Yeah. And like you said, it came out of nowhere. You had, like, she's all, cute, and you never thought, her looking like that she would do that. And when she did that, I know David Allen Greer walked out that door as Tyler and bust out. He probably fell to the floor.
I know, right? For real. But that was just hilarious. That was hilarious. And like I said, I think just because it was so unexpected, it was just had nothing to do with the movie. It was just, I think it was just something that just came along, one of those ad-lib type things that went well with that scene and what they were doing and everything. Yeah. So I was just like, wow, that was good. That was good.
And then when they left with the dishes and Eddie Murphy was like chitlin juices everywhere.
Everywhere. Like, I'm gonna take you up on that offer.
Right. So let's talk about this as we, close down, and let's talk about when I think he was tracked, because this just came to my mind, when Marcus was dating Jacqueline, right? And Jacqueline was almost one of the guys. And I know guys, and you can speak from this because I've never been a guy, but guys like women who like the same things they like sometimes, because remember, she liked the Knicks. Shout out to the Knicks. She liked the Knicks, and they were watching the basketball game, and they were watching things together in that way. And then you have Halle Berry was watching Star Trek with him and all of that. Yeah. How important is that, like, for a man to sit back and say, my woman can watch what I like with them? Because he was attracted to those on both women.
Well, I think to me, I think it's important because I think it's something that you're able to relate to, your girlfriend or significant other with, that they have some of the same interests. Not saying that you have all of the same, same interest in everything. Even if my girlfriend doesn't like sports, for her to take an interest in it, would say to me, wow, she's trying to be interested, or at least take interest in something that I have an interest in, just like I would want to do something, the same thing for her. If there's a certain movie that she wants to watch, or certain channels, or something that she's into that I'm not particularly into, that I would hopefully I would do the same thing to watch something that because that's something that she's interested in. And it gives you, to me, it gives you an effective way to be able to communicate with each other, because she can relate to some of the things that I'm into, and just like I can relate to some of the things that she's into. And that's honestly, to me, that's how you grow, because they bring that certain aspect to your life that you have if they weren't there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought that, Angela's character, loving the basketball. Yeah. I mean, most men, we're sports guys. So basketball and football, we can, like a woman that wants to watch sports. Oh yeah. That is mad cool.
Star Trek and all of that.
Yeah, right. Somebody that's into Star Trek or even Star Wars, because I'm not a Trekkie. I'm a Star Wars fan. I like Star Wars versus Star Trek.
Me too. Me too.
To be able to have somebody that takes that interest in that, or at least says, you know what, wow, it's important enough to you that I want to be able to, I want to be able to, show interest in it as well. So I think that was, I think that was big, and that was key. Like you said, those two dynamics where each of them had something about them that piqued his interest, and that they became connected with.
Yeah. So let's talk about the last scene when now Angela becomes the boss. So she becomes that character that Robin Givens played, Jacqueline. Now she got a little extra attitude. She got a little extra swoop in her hair. She got the little suit on. She took her little hat off. She got a little suit on. She got a little extra dipped in swagness.
Did I tell you to call? Did I tell you to call me, or did I tell you to call?
Right. Then she got the little look. They show her flipping the papers like she's the boss, So now the tables turn because now Marcus no longer works there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about, shout out to the kids. That little girl was like hilarious doing all of this.
Because I want them there.
I was just like, where'd she come from?
Because I want the fish at the bottom of my picture. But kids are like that though. They don't care. Kids do not care.
You better come up with that dialogue. What she say, Leroy?
She said because he asked her, Marcus's character asked her, with the picture, it had the fish at the bottom instead of in the fish bowl. And he's like, well, here's the fish bowl and here the fish here. Well, why'd you have the fish? Why aren't the fish in the fish bowl? And she was like, because I did not want them there. I wanted them down at the bottom of the picture. I was like, okay. Marcus was like, yeah, I'm gonna kick a little.
Up the whole time, and he was looking, and Eddie Murphy wanted to laugh because you could see it in his face. Like I know that they had. I bet you their energy was up in that movie. Like you could not have a bad day. It seems like filming that movie because I would have been whatever worry or trouble I had when I was filming that movie. Like I would have been fine because watching the movie is like that. And I know they don't go in order in scenes when they make a movie, so they almost do like what we're doing. They film out of order, as we talking about out of order. As we close, let's talk about a scene that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about. And I know we can't talk about everything.
No, I think to me, I think when here's the scene when Marcus and Angela, they fall asleep on the couch and they wake up and they just go into this romantic mode and everything. That to me was like how you, and I had a friend of mine tell me this years ago, and I've never forgotten it. And I look for it every time when I'm in a movie like this, or in just in movies that have a romantic interest to them and everything like that. She said every woman gives, and I think we've said this before, every woman gives a man this look, but he has to be aware of when she gives him that look. Like I think we talked about it in Love Jones, when Nia Long looks back out of when she comes out of the books, out of the record store, it's that look. This in this movie, when Halle Berry's character, when they're laying there on the couch and they wake up, and then he wakes up and he looks down at her, and it's like, oh wow, and he kisses her on her forehead. She wakes up and she looks at him, and it's like, okay, this is something. Those feelings that I think that had been there start to come out for both of them. And I think that's when I think they really start to they pay attention to each other and start to say, wow, this is going to be more than just a friendship. So that one, I think that's the other one. And we didn't even talk about Grace Jones though. We didn't get into the tape when she was at the restaurant.
Go ahead. Come on, because that was one of the girl Marnice's favorite scenes. She talked about that. So talk about that.
Yeah, that was hilarious too. And of course, we can't say all of what Grace Jones said, but in essence, this is after Marcus and Angela had slept together.
Look, the good Noel Jones sister.
Yeah, that's it. And when I found that out, I was like, oh wow. I was like, okay. I was like, wow, that's crazy. So they're at the restaurant. They're at the restaurant and they're having dinner or whatever. And so Angela goes to the restroom, I think it is, or whatever. And so Grace Jones starts to hit on Eddie Murphy. And she's like, well, according to Jacqueline, you know how to really in the bed. And Eddie Murphy is like, who hasn't she told? He's like, she done told
Right.
you. And he's like, no, like, no, it ain't like that. No, I don't get down like that. And and then he, of course, he tried to get out of it by saying that he's gay. And Grace
Right.
Jones is just not having it. She was like, she was just like, no. She was like, that whole thing. And crazy Grace Jones, she lift her legs up. I was just like, oh, she done, she done taken it to the nth degree with her. I was like, yeah, she wasn't playing. She was gonna get her some Eddie Murphy.
Right. And I was left because, first of all, she has a presence about her that you can't
really
miss
does.
by looking at her, right? So when she comes on the screen, she has that presence. So imagine that presence in that restaurant if it was real life. And then her voice takes it to another presence. And then her behavior takes it to another level. So just imagine, and remember, she said, "You're not gay, he's gay." And remember, he was.
See, like my brother or sister, my brother-in-law is gay. I was like, oh, she is a mess.
But it was somebody else's husband, and then they looked. I was like, Lord have mercy, strange. And then to fast forward, to the end when Marcus and Angela are walking. And that woman walked. Well, first of all, her image, which was beautiful, on the bus, and he saw that, she made her dream come true, and that she was no longer, there, and she moved on. And of course, he comes into the office with her kids and saying that, he either lived her, and she's being hard at first. That's guarded because you don't want the same person to hurt you again. So she was guarded, and then he broke that shell, and they begin to walk down the street, and that woman comes up. So you take it from there. When a woman comes up and she said, "You better talk about it, Leroy." What she say?
She said, "You better not even think about turning around and looking." She said, "I will break your neck." And Eddie Murphy, him and his crazy self, he was like, I'm not looking. He was like, "I'm just saying that's gonna be you in a couple of years or something like that." I was like, so yeah, but he was like, he wanted her to move in with him. She was like, "No, I'm gonna keep my own spot," and everything like that. He was like, "I want 24/7 with you." So it was like he wasn't trying to, I guess genuinely, he wasn't trying to make the same mistake that he made and lose her again, because he saw that she was, like I said, the good woman out of the two, especially between Angela and Jacqueline. Between them two, Angela was the one, and I hate this. I mean, to me, it just seems like that when it comes to both men and women and the choices that we make when it comes to relationships. We always a lot of men and women seem to want the more exciting one, or one that seems to be more exciting. The one that, like you said, that is in a position of power. Angela wasn't in the position of power. She was somebody that was just a part of the team and everything like that. But the choices that we make, and we wouldn't have to go through a lot of the drama and a lot of the experiences that we have if we were to go with that person that we know is the right person from the beginning. A lot of people want to give Russell Wilson a lot of flack for him and Sierra and everything like that. They want to call him this simple whatever and stuff like that. But he's that. I want to call him a cornball. I was just like, what? I said, and the thing of it is,
but she makes him look finer though. She make him look finer. She making black women look at him and they ain't never checked for him. So that good woman.
But to me, and I know we got to go, but that seems to be the issue. Why isn't he someone? Why wasn't he a man that women were checking for?
I agree.
he didn't bring drama.
He talked
Didn't
about
have,
the Lord.
yeah, Doc talked about the Lord. Didn't have kids, if I'm not mistaken. He didn't have any kids.
No.
He didn't have any kids. Wasn't going to. I mean, versus Russell
Right.
Wilson
And
versus
Future.
Future. Six baby mamas?
Something
Whatever
like
it
that.
is. Six baby mamas, and all of this other baggage that Future comes with, versus versus Russell Wilson. And you want to call Russell Wilson the cornball? The cornball
Right.
to me is
Right.
Future with 6
I agree.
kids.
I agree.
You know,
But it's funny how we look at things. I totally agree. I totally agree with everything you just said. And that could be a show in itself, just even that. But like you said, he did it too as a man. He looked at the other one, which both women, I must say, are gorgeous. Both of them. Both of them looked good. You know, both of their makeup, their hair, their clothes. Like I said, it was a very $42 million they put in the movie, which made 131 million. So 42 million told you that they invested in this movie, you know, for a quality movie. And that was Eddie Murphy. So of course he's going to get 42 million to do a movie because they know it's going to be quality. So like you said, so with the women, and you know, it's like you said before, it wouldn't have been a movie, but that is true that sometimes you go after the one you think that you has it all, or the one you think you can't get, opposed to, you know, doing that. And that's, you know, I don't know why people do that. The challenge, the seek, the thrill.
Well, I just think that I think people, society as a whole, they tend to navigate towards the negative. Anything that's done in the country. I mean, when you think about the news, does a someone who's doing positive things make the news, or is it something that goes on that's negative in the news? Now, Tiger Woods ain't been in the news for a good minute, but he gets into an accident, and that's the only thing that you see on the news about him. You know, now I'm quite sure he's had other things that have been going on, you know, before the accident, and that he's been a part of.
Or him married to a white woman. That makes the news, but not what he's doing on the golf course is what you're saying.
So it that's just, you know, unfortunately it's the way that our society is, and especially when it comes to men and women in relationships, we tend to want to, you know, some men, they want the most attractive woman because like you just talked about Sierra, she looks good on his arm. She makes other women want to look at him. They're like, oh, what was I missing?
I've heard women say that. I've heard women say, oh, he wasn't cute till he got with Sierra. And maybe they exchanged that confidence you can do when you're in a, you know, relationship like that. You make each other better, make each other stronger. So hopefully it's that. And I'm sure that he made her, you know, stronger as well. And that's what a relationship is supposed to do. So I think, you know, kudos to them or anyone in a strong, solid relationship, making each other better. This was a great show, Leroy.
I know. When we always seem to go longer than what we anticipated and everything, but this was fun. This one was good.
And you know, funny. It wasn't, our guests didn't come. I don't know if they got, but I don't even know if there would have been any room for him today because we were just all over, you know. And this, I mean, you made me laugh. Your excitement in your face always brings joy to me in doing this. So, like I said, I wouldn't want to do this show with anybody other than you, because you get it.
Absolutely, I get it. Absolutely, and the thing is, we have this energy that we, since we like a lot of the same movies and a lot of same things, it just makes it easier to talk about because we can have those conversations about the movie because we pull the same things out of them and everything. So
absolutely. All right, so everybody, this is more than just a movie or more than a movie, the breakdown of classic Black films. You know, and I do this every Wednesday with my boy, Leroy Mckenzie Jr. So we've done Love Jones, Love and Basketball, and now we can check Boomerang off the list. So go back and watch the other ones. And when you watch this, if people you know love these movies, don't feel ashamed to share it. Share it. Don't be stingy watching it to yourself. Make sure you subscribe, below. It's so important to do that. So we talked about Boomerang, which came out in 1992. So if you haven't seen it, please see the movie. And if you've seen it, see it again on us. So next week, The Best Man. You go with The Best Man?
Yeah, yep, let's do it.
All right, so we are going, and there's a lot of stuff in The Best Man that we could talk about when it comes to relationships and friendships and a whole lot of goodness in that. We're talking about the original The Best Man, not The Best Man Holiday. We're talking about The Best Man. So if you haven't seen it, please see it, and then you can join us next week. And if you have seen it, see it again so it can be fresh in your memory as we talk about it. Leroy, you got any last words for our people?
No, like I said, I just enjoyed it. I thought Boomerang was definitely one of Eddie Murphy's best movies that he's ever done. The characters, like you said, they perfectly put together this cast that they had in the movie, and I just think it was great and fun to talk about, bring back all of those memories of the movie and everything like that, to think about it and talk about it from the perspective that we talked about it, and having like that to go in depth about it. So I think it was cool.
All right, and that's Leroy Mckenzie Jr. I'm Kendell Lenice. Thank you for watching More Than a Movie. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. God bless y'all. See you next week.